In this video, you'll see how Americans lived 100 years ago. The poor, the middle class, and the wealthy. Their daily lives, jobs, living conditions, and struggles. But the most unusual, bizarre, and shocking professions of that era are saved for the end. Watch till the end. You won't expect this. 100 years ago, factory workers were the backbone of American industry. They worked 10 to 12 hours a day surrounded by noise, dust, and heat, without air conditioning. Wages barely covered food and rent for a small room. Many lived in overcrowded housing near factories, sharing kitchens with other families. Workplace safety was minimal, and injuries were a normal part of life. Farm laborers worked from sunrise until complete darkness. Their lives depended entirely on weather, seasons, and crop success. All tasks were performed by hand without modern machinery. Physical labor was heavy and constant throughout the year. Workers often lost strength and health at an early age. Many families lived in simple wooden houses, without electricity or running water. Income was unstable and changed from year to year. A failed harvest could mean real hunger. For many people, farming was the only way to survive outside the cities. Office clerks represented the growing American middle class. They worked in offices, banks, and insurance companies every day. Their days were long but not physically demanding. Most of the time was spent handling paperwork, accounts, and records. The job required discipline, attention to detail, and accuracy. Any mistake could cost a person their employment or reputation. Pay was steady, though not high. This profession offered social mobility and hope for a better future. Clerks often dreamed of owning a home and achieving financial independence. Shop assistants worked up to 10 hours a day, often without days off. They spent most of their working time standing and serving customers. Politeness and a neat appearance were required in every situation. Discipline was strictly enforced, and employers tolerated no deviations. Pay was more stable than factory work, but still low. Many assistants lived in rented rooms or small apartments. The work was repetitive, but it provided the first step toward the middle class. Shop assistants observed city life and tried to improve their skills. Often, they dreamed of one day owning their own business. Skilled mechanics a century ago were highly valued workers, repairing automobiles, trains, and industrial machinery. Their work required knowledge, experience, and careful attention. They earned higher wages than unskilled laborers. Mechanics could often afford their own homes and basic comforts. The workday was long but brought pride in their craftsmanship. They enjoyed respect among society and fellow workers. Mechanics trained apprentices and passed their skills to the next generation. For many, this profession provided a stable life and family well-being. There was a strong sense of pride in being able to fix complex machinery with their own hands. School teachers in the early 20th century were respected but earned low salaries. They worked in large classrooms without modern teaching materials. Additional duties included lesson preparation, grading, and maintaining discipline. The profession required patience, knowledge, and moral resilience. Lessons were often conducted in a strict environment, and teaching methods were classical. Despite difficulties, the job provided stability and middle-class social status. Many teachers lived in their own homes or near the school. They dreamed of student success and improving education. Teaching was vital for shaping the next generation. Small business owners a century ago were examples of success and stability. They worked long hours, often without days off, but controlled their time and income. Businesses were usually family-run, with relatives helping in shops, workshops, or cafes. Owners had the opportunity to improve their social status and support their families. They monitored the economy and adapted to market changes. Owners often lived above their business or nearby. Their work required organization and responsibility. For many, this provided a solid foundation for financial stability. Reputation and customer trust were essential for success. Doctors a century ago belonged to the upper middle class and held high social status. They had stable incomes and played important roles in their communities. Medical knowledge was limited, but the profession required education and patient trust. Doctors often ran private offices and lived in large homes. The work was demanding, with long hours of patient consultations. They diagnosed, examined, and treated illnesses. Doctors were respected and influential in society. The profession provided a stable life and social recognition. For many, it was a dream of influence and helping people. Lawyers a century ago belonged to the wealthy class and held influence in cities. They handled contracts, court cases, and business matters for entrepreneurs and affluent clients. The work required legal knowledge, attention to detail, and persuasion skills. Lawyers wore expensive suits and lived in prestigious neighborhoods. Their work was complex and highly responsible. They attended court sessions and conducted negotiations. The job provided high social status and respect. Lawyers often mentored younger colleagues. The profession offered access to political and economic influence. Industrial magnates controlled factories, mines, and railroads, earning the greatest profits from industrialization. Their lifestyle was sharply different from that of workers. They owned grand estates, employed household staff, and traveled extensively. Magnates enjoyed political influence and social authority. They often attended business meetings and high-profile events. Their work involved overseeing enterprises and strategic planning. For them, America was a land of opportunity where money meant power. Magnates built empires and shaped the economy. High status provided comfort and social respect. High society socialites often lived on inheritance or family businesses and did not always work. Their lives revolved around balls, dinners, travel, and elite social connections. They constantly followed fashion and strict etiquette. Social status dictated their actions and behavior. Attending events required preparation and attention to detail. Socialites networked with other elite families and built connections. Their lives were filled with luxury and comfort. Status was maintained through participation in society events. They dreamed of preserving their position and influence. Servants lived close to luxury, but were never part of it. Maids, butlers, and cooks worked long hours for modest pay. They witnessed elite life from the inside, but remained almost invisible. The work required discipline, precision, and patience. Servants performed all household duties, from cleaning to cooking. For many, this provided stable food and housing. The profession offered little social mobility. They observed luxury and dreamed of a better life. Servant life was hard and monotonous, but essential. Rat catchers were one of the most unpleasant jobs in large cities a century ago. They worked in basements, sewers, and slums, where darkness and filth were constant. The work was dangerous and poorly paid. Rats carried disease and destroyed food supplies, making the job essential. Catchers used traps, lanterns, and special cages. Society often looked down on them, and working conditions were harsh. The job required courage, attention, and endurance. Without them, cities would have been overrun by rats. This profession was strange, dangerous, and absolutely necessary.